Moving further, here's the third lesson of this section, that is Language Processing System, often known shortly as LPS. In this lesson, we would be learning about the language processing system and the various tools involved in execution of the code. Now, what is language processing system? The hardware understands only the machine code language, but the programmer writes the code in high-level language. So how does it get converted? When the program is fed into a series of tools and operating system components, it produces the desired code as the output, which can be used by the machine for the execution purpose. This entire process, along with all the tools, is known as language processing system. Now, the programmer writes the code is known as a source code. When the source code is fed to preprocessor, a preprocessor is a tool which acts on it and produces the output as preprocessed code. Now, this preprocessed code is then fed to compiler. Compiler compiles the entire program and converts the high-level language into assembly language. Then it produces the output in assembly code. Assembly code is fed to assembler and it converts the assembly language into relocatable machine language. This relocatable machine code serves as input for the linker. Linker links all the library files and modules to produce an .exe file which is in machine code. Now, this executable machine code, when fed to loader allocates the required memory for all the instructions and data in the program. And finally, the program gets executed. So this is the entire process. Now let us learn these tools one by one. First comes the preprocessor. Preprocessor is generally considered as a part of compiler. It is a tool that produces input for the compiler. It basically deals with macro processing, augmentation, and file inclusion. Then comes interpreter. Interpreter is sometimes misconceived with the compiler. Both of them translates high-level language into low-level language. The major difference between interpreter and compiler is interpreter interprets statement by statement, and wherever error occurs, it throws the error and the execution stops. Whereas compiler compiles the entire program at once and throws all the error at the end. Now comes the assembler. The assembler translates assembly language program into machine code. The output of this assembler is an object file, that is .obj file. It contains a combination of machine instructions as well as all the data required to place these instructions in the memory. Now, the linker links and merges various object files produced by the assembler and make an executable file. The major task of the linker is to search and locate referenced modules and routines in the program. Now comes the loader. Loader is a part of operating system that is responsible for loading executable files produced by the linker into the memory and execute them. It calculates the size of program, that is the size of all the instructions and data, and creates the required memory for it. So that's it. Let's have a quick recap. User writes program in high-level language, then compiler acts on it, which compiles and translates this high-level language code into assembly language. Assembler further translates it into machine code, and linker loads all the parts, whereas loader loads them on memory and the code gets executed. Here's the end of the section. In the next section, we would be learning installation of compiler and IDE, Hello World program, comments in C, and various input-output functions in C.